My life was simple until I met Oliver Bennett, a charming guy who won me over with his smile and attention. But the charm turned into a nightmare. I started having scary dreams where Oliver seemed cruel, and he soon revealed a toxic, jealous, and controlling side. My name is Ava Thompson, and I never believed things like destination or curses. I grew up in Salem, Massachusetts, a city that breathes stories from witches and old secrets, but for me it was just folklore for tourists. I was 25 years old, worked as a barista at Moonlit Brew, a charming coffee shop in the center, and led a simple life. Until she met Oliver Bennett. It was a cold autumn night, with the wind carrying the smell of dried leaves and carved pumpkins. The cafeteria was full, and I ran between requests for lattes and muffins. That's when he entered. Oliver was tall, with messy brown hair, and blue eyes that seemed to see through me. He ordered a black coffee, and his voice, calm and deep, made my heart leap. "You have been working here for a long time, Ava?" he asked, reading my badge as I delivered the glass. "A few years," I said, feeling a warmth up my neck. "And you? New in Salem?" "Let's say I'm exploring." He smiled, a smile that was at the same time welcoming and, I don't know, there was something else, something I couldn't name. I like places with history. We set up a little, and he had a way to make me laugh easily. When he left a note at the counter. "Ava, I hope to see you out of here. Oliver," with his number. I stared at that piece of paper longer than it should, the heart rapidly. Something in me said he was different. At that night, lying in my bed, my small rented apartment, I couldn't stop thinking about him. The way he looked at me, how he really seemed to see me. I fell asleep with a silly smile, but sleep brought something I didn't expect. In the dream, I was in a deserted field, the gray sky, as if a storm was about to swallow everything. The air was heavy, and I felt a cold that didn't explain. So I saw Oliver. But it was not Oliver of the cafeteria. His blue eyes shone with a strange, almost supernatural light, and his smile was cruel, as if hid a dark secret. He walked to me, and every step seemed to make the floor shake. "You can't escape me, Ava," he said, his voice echoing as if he came from inside my head. "You've always been mine." I had been running, but my legs seemed trapped in moved sand. He reached out, and when he touched my face, I felt a sharp pain, as if something was being torn from me. I woke up panting, my heart beating so fast that I thought it was going to explode. The room was dark except for the weak light of the street entering the window. It was just a nightmare, I thought, trying to convince myself. But the feeling of fear was stuck to me, like a shadow. Next days, Oliver returned to the coffee shop. Each time he appeared, my heart shook, and I would catch me ignoring the nightmare. He was so charming, so attentive. I took me to walk the streets of Salem at night, telling stories about the witches that were judged centuries ago. He spoke to a passion that fascinated me, but sometimes his eyes seemed distant, as if he knew more than he said. A week we were dating. It all happened so fast. Dinners, messages until late, kisses that made me forget the world. But the nightmares didn't stop. In one of them, Oliver was in a dark basement, surrounded by black candles, muttering words that I didn't understand. I felt my heavy body, as if something was holding to him. I woke up sweating, with the feeling that something was wrong. But when I saw Oliver smiling at me the next day, I wondered fear away. I was in love, or at least I thought it was. So things changed. Oliver started to stay different. He didn't like it when I went out with my best friend, Lily Carter, or when I was slow to answer your messages. One night, when he said he needed time alone, he appeared on my door without warning. His eyes were dark, almost angry. "You can't just put me aside, Ava," he said, his voice low, but with a tone that made me back down. "I know what is best for you. For us." My stomach rapped, but he soon softened his tone, apologized, and hugged me. I wanted to believe it was just jealous, that he loved me. But deep down, a little voice shouted that something was very wrong, and I had no idea how much. I couldn't say exactly when things with Oliver began to collapse, but looking back, the signs were all there. It was as if every moment of happiness with him came with a shadow that I tried to ignore. My name is Ava Thompson, and this is the part of my story I began to realize that love can sometimes be a trap. After a few weeks dating, Oliver has become a constant in my life. He appeared at Moonlit Brew almost every day, always with that smile that made me melt, but also with questions that began to bother me. "Where did you have been last night, Ava? Or why was that guy at the counter talking to you so much?" At first, I thought it was just being protective, maybe even too much in love. But there was something in his eyes and intensity that made me restless, as if he was trying to arrest me. The nightmares got worse. Every night, I saw Oliver in scenarios that looked like a horror movie. The most recent, I was in an abandoned church, the broken windows letting the wind howl as voices. Oliver was there, standing on an altar covered with strange symbols, holding an old book that seemed to throb with a dark energy. He would look at me and say, "You can't leave me, Ava. We're linked forever." I woke up shouting, the body shaking, and the feeling that something was watching me wouldn't leave, even with daylight. I was talking to my best friend, Lily Carter, about it. We sat in a different coffee, away from Moonlit Brew, because I didn't want to risk Oliver appearing. Lily, with her blonde hair and straight way, heard everything carefully, frowning. "Ava, that doesn't look normal," she said, stirring coffee with the spoon. "These nightmares, the way he is acting. Have you ever thought that maybe he's not the one?" "It's just dreams, Lily," I said, but my voice came out weak, as if I didn't believe it myself. "And he's not perfect, but who is it? I like him. Do you really like it? Or are you afraid of being alone?" She looked at me in the eye, and I didn't know what to say. The truth is that I was divided. When Oliver was good, he was amazing, made me laugh. He took me to see the sunset in Porto, hugged me as if I was the most important thing in the world. But increasingly, he showed a side that scared me. One night, when I said I needed space after a discussion about him checking my cell phone, he grabbed my wrist too hard. "You don't understand, Ava," he whispered, his eyes shining with something that wasn't just anger. "You're mine. I won't let you escape." I let go and asked him to leave. He went, but not before he looked at me. That made my blood freeze. That night I decided I needed to end. No matter how much my heart gives way when thinking about it, something in me knew that continuing with Oliver was dangerous. On the next day, I called Oliver to talk to the park near my house. The wind was strong, and the trees shook as if they tried to warn me of something. He arrived with that usual smile, but there was a tension in him, like a rope about to break. "Oliver, I think we need to end," I said, the words coming out harder than I imagined. "This is not working. You You're changing, and I don't feel myself with you anymore." For a moment, he was silent, staring at me. Then he laughed a cold, almost inhuman laugh. "Do you think you can just leave me, Ava? Isn't that how it works?" He stepped ahead, and I backed away, my heart fired. But before he could say more, I turned and ran home, locking the door behind me. The next few days were strangers. Oliver stopped appearing in the coffee shop, stopped sending messages. It was as if he had disappeared, and as much as he felt, I felt a relief. But then, 2 weeks later, I started to feel different. Tired, nauseated. I did a pregnancy test at home, with tremendous hands, and when I saw both lines, my world turned upside down. I was pregnant. Pregnant with Oliver. I didn't know what to do. I called Lily, who came running to support me. "You'll be fine, Ava," she said, holding my hand. "Let's solve this together." But that night the nightmare came back, more real than ever. Oliver was there, holding a chain that looked like shadows, and I felt a horrible pain in my belly. "You'll never get rid of me," he said, and I woke up screaming, with real pain in the abdomen. The doctors said I almost lost the baby, but for now it was okay. While I was lying on that cold bed, a nurse, Sarah Miller, an older woman with kind eyes, looked at me strangely. "Have you heard of Salem's witches, honey?" she asked, almost whispering. Sometimes the past didn't where I should. I didn't understand at the time, but your words were in my head. Something told me that Oliver was not just a toxic guy. There was something else, something much darker, and I needed to find out what it was before it was too late. The last few months of my life had been a nightmare I could never have imagined. Pregnant with Oliver Bennett, the man who had charmed and then terrified me. I could feel him even though he was so far away. The pain in my belly, the constant fear, the nightmares that seemed more real every night, it all pointed to something beyond my comprehension. Salem, with its stories of witches and curses, was beginning to seem less like a tourist's tale and more like a cruel reality. After the scare in the hospital where I nearly lost my baby, Nurse Sarah Miller left me with a warning that had stuck in my head: sometimes the past doesn't stay where it should. I decided I needed answers. Lily, my best friend, urged me to seek help, and it was she who told me about Madame Clara, a psychic who lived on the outskirts of Salem, who was known for dealing with things no one can explain. I didn't really believe in it, but I was desperate. Clara lived in a small house, almost hidden by twisted trees. The interior smelled of herbs and melted wax. She was a middle-aged woman with brown eyes that seemed to see more than usual. I sat at her desk, shivering, and told her everything: Oliver, the nightmares, the pregnancy, the feeling that something was holding me to him. Clara listened quietly, holding a worn tarot deck. "There's an ancient energy to you, Ava," she said, turning over a card with a hooded figure in it. "A connection that spans lifetimes. This man, Oliver, he's not just who you see. He was someone else, in a different time, and he did terrible things to you." A chill ran down my spine. "What do you mean, another life?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Clara closed her eyes, mumbling something I didn't understand. Then she took my hand and squeezed it tightly. "You were his once, in a past life. He was a cruel man, obsessed with control. He used rituals, ancient magic, to bind your soul to his. And now he's done it again. A love binding, reinforced by blood and dark intentions." That's why you almost lost the baby." I wanted to laugh, to tell him it was crazy, but the pain in my belly, the nightmares, the way Oliver seemed to know exactly how to manipulate me, it all made sense in a terrifying way. Clara had told me the binding was tied to an object, something Oliver had given me. I thought immediately of the necklace he'd insisted I wear, a black stone pendant he'd said was special. I'd taken it off weeks ago, but it was still in my apartment. I came home with Lily, and we found the necklace in a drawer. It felt wrong, like it pulsed with an energy I hadn't noticed before. Clara came to me that night, bringing candles, herbs, and a liquid that smelled like wet earth. She performed a ritual, burning the necklace in a circle of salt, while chanting in a language that made my skin crawl. I felt something inside me loosen, as if an invisible chain had been broken. But the moment the pendant turned to ash, I heard a scream echo in my head, Oliver's voice. That same night, he appeared. I was alone, locked in my house, when I heard a pounding on the door. "Ava," he shouted, his voice filled with fury. "You can't do this. You're mine." The door shook with his pounding, and I cowered in the corner, clutching the phone as I called the police. But then the noise stopped. By the time the police arrived, he was gone. All they found was a circle of unlit candles in front of my house, with the same kind of symbols I'd seen in my nightmares. The next few days were a blur. Clara assured me that the binding was broken, but that Oliver was still dangerous. "He's lost control of you, and it's eating at him," she said. "He could do worse." I didn't know what that meant, but I moved in temporarily with Lily, keeping my baby safe as my priority. Then one night, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Oliver. His voice was different, husky, like he wasn't himself anymore. "Do you think it's over, Ava? I'll always find you. Always." The line ended, and I never heard from him again. But sometimes, I feel a chill in the air, like something is still watching me. Today, I'm raising my son, Ethan, who was born healthy despite everything. I still look back at the streets of Salem and wonder if the past really does belong where it belongs. Oliver may be out there, lost in his own madness, but I know I'm stronger than he'll ever be. And as I hold my son in my arms, I promise myself that I'll never let fear control me again.